So welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, and we're here today to talk about discovering your business sweet spot. And we've already kind of started that discussion just informally here, that when you're in business for a while, sometimes the business can start to grow and becomes unwieldy, less profitable. And discovering your business sweet spot is all about how to grow your business, I call it organic growth, in a natural way that helps you to be a lot more profitable. That's the money side. The feeling side is it helps you fall back in love with your business. Again, most of us loved our businesses when we started them, and then as we've had them longer and longer, we're kind of like, now why did I want this in my life? So the sweet spot helps you fall back in love with your business. So that's what we'll be discussing today. And I should also tell you that my specialty, what I really get excited about in my own little geeky way, is I love going into small businesses that are a mess. Time, energy, cash-sucking small businesses and transforming those into highly profitable, great places to work. And from what I've been doing, I've been working with small business owners for about 10 years now. And I've brought in different systems that I use, and the sweet spot is one of 3 systems that I use with small business owners to help them get this result. And what I find is in the course of about 1 to 2 years, we can really move a business into that place where it's much more profitable, much more efficient, and attracting the right employees to the business, which is in a rural area, it's really challenging to get those employees. So what you're learning today is kind of the core of that work. And the sweet spot, if you have employee challenges like you were talking about, once you really zero in on your sweet spot, it is much easier to attract the right employees and top quality employees because you'll know how to get the people that you need to help you within that sweet spot. So you're in the right place today if you find yourself feeling like you're doing all the right things in your business, but so you're doing all the right things, maybe you're out networking, you're running ads, blogging, doing things on social media, but you're not getting the results you want. So if you're feeling price pressure, people complaining about price, or if you feel like a commodity sometimes, like people don't really appreciate what's unique about what you do and what you offer. You're also in the right place if maybe you feel like you have lots of clients, lots of customers, business is growing, but you're hitting a wall and you don't know how you're going to go to that next level. You can't see how to get from where you are to that next level and do it in a sustainable way. So you're already starting to feel some, what I call entrepreneurial burnout. And we're going to talk about how you can continue to grow. The problem. When we start our businesses, we have to do everything we can to get money coming in the door, right? We take on any client, any customer, we offer all kinds of services and products. We're just trying to keep our heads above water, pay the bills, and keep the business open. And that's really what the first few years in business are about, sometimes up to the first 5 years in business. And the problem is that the skills that you had when you started business that helped you to be successful will not take you to the next level. It's a classic case of what got you here won't get you there. So when we keep operating from that initial skill set of saying yes to every opportunity that comes our way and trying to please every single customer even when they suck the life right out of us, we end up with these overweight businesses. And when you have a business that's overweight, you have a lot of inefficiency. You end up having to hire employees to take care of bad customers who take a lot of time and energy. And payroll, typically in a business, is one of the biggest expenses. So anything that we can do to trim down payroll can go a long way to making a business more profitable. I specialize in working with business owners on their employee issues, and I will tell you, the fewer employees you have on your payroll, the healthier your business is going to be overall, and the happier you're going to be overall. So we really want to really zero in on those most important parts of your business, the most profitable parts of your business, the things that you have the natural talents to do and the skill set to do. Focus in on those areas, bring in employees to support those areas, and let the other parts of the business go. So we want to put your business on a diet, and that's what the Sweet Spot does, is it puts your business on a diet. When you have an overweight business, what typically suffers? You. Nobody else. Everybody else is fine and happy. Your employees are getting paid, your customers and clients are getting taken care of, but you and I are the ones who suffer when we let our businesses get overweight. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story and my experience with the Sweet Spot. Not so much to talk about me as a business owner, but so that you can see how what I'm teaching you today can really have an impact on you. So this was about 4 or 5 years ago, back in 2012. That's my daughter Kylie, my oldest, and that's me. And I remember when this picture was taken. I try to run my business on about 25 hours a week. And when she was younger, I really would work. I would work during nap time, so that when she would wake up from nap, I could play with her. So she had started going to kindergarten, and I was thinking, well, now I'm really going to grow my business. And I ended up taking on, at that time I had 150 clients. And I had 2 main groups of clients. I had Main Street business owners with brick and mortar businesses who I was helping with their employee challenges. And then I had coaches, other coaches, because I was teaching at the Institute for Life Coach Training. I was teaching marketing. And I had a ready group of people who wanted more work with me on helping them market their business and get their business off the ground. So in my crazed thinking, I thought, I'm really struggling to scale what I'm doing with small business owners. Everything is so personalized when it comes to helping them with their employee challenges. We dance in the moment. I don't know how to systematize that. So in order for me to grow my business, I'm going to help these coaches with their marketing, and I can easily systematize that and scale that. So what you see here on the screen is all the training, all the templates, and all the online training that I was creating for those coaches to help them with their marketing. They were in a group program with me, and it was a year-long program, and it was really supposed to free up my time. But as you can see in that picture, I looked a little tired, didn't I? A little peaked. And there's nothing worse than your child waking up from a nap full of energy at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're exhausted because I had been working my tail off. So my business was growing. I had over 150 clients. I had experienced an 88% increase in revenue that year from the previous year, but I was exhausted, and I was working more. I think probably about 50% more than I had been previously. And I no longer liked my business. And the big problem was that this online training program that I had developed for these coaches was taking me away from taking care of the clients who I loved working with the most. So this was pulling my time and energy resources away. Is this sounding familiar to any of you here with what you're dealing with? I thought it might. So along that time, a friend introduced me to a book called The Pumpkin Plan, okay? And I read The Pumpkin Plan, and I thought, oh my goodness, all of my clients need this book. All of my business owners that I work with, they need to read this book. So I contacted Mike Michalowicz, the author of The Pumpkin Plan, and I said, I want to give this book to my clients as a Christmas present. Can I place a bulk order with you? Mike emailed back right away, and that really impressed me. I was like, oh, this famous author that I reached out to, and he emailed back right away, and he said, absolutely. And he said, and by the way, you're a coach? What kind of, you work with small business owners? We're looking for coaches who can take this training program to small business owners. And so that's how I began to work very closely with Mike Michalowicz. I was actually the original pumpkin planner. So I excitedly ordered those books, gave them out at Christmas time, and then as part of my certification to become a pumpkin planner, I had to travel to New Jersey, and we had to go through an immersion event where we applied all the pumpkin plan concepts to our own businesses. And I was thinking, I'm going to New Jersey. I'm going to work closely with Mike Michalowicz. I'm going to learn these things, and I'm going to bring them back, and I'm going to help my clients. But I sat in that room, and I had the oh shit moment. This was not about helping my clients as much as I love them. This was about fixing my business and the problems that I was having in my business. And what I was realizing in that moment in that room was that this whole Marketing Mastery Wisdom Circle year-long program that I had developed needed to go. I had put all this time and energy, and you know that feeling where I've sunk all this time and energy into this, but I cannot see doing this long term. And it's really taking me away from taking care of my best clients. And so I was wrestling with the realization there of that program has to go. It did go, and I got to work and dug in on my sweet spot. And I want to tell you what happened when I zeroed in on my sweet spot. I just had a book that came out in April to help rural small business owners hire the best employees. I was able, by letting go of that whole work that I was doing with coaches, it freed up my time to figure out how I could systematize and help my small business owners that I was working with their employee challenges and their hiring problems. So what I did with that time is I went out and I started interviewing successful rural business owners who had top performing employees on their payroll to find out their strategies for attracting those top performing employees. I compiled that in the book. I do a whole training on that, and that really is a big focus in my business now. The result of that is, instead of having 120 clients, or 150 clients, many of whom were energy draining clients, I now have 24 private clients who are highly motivated go-getters. They eat up anything that I can do to help them. They take the information, they apply it in their business. They're supportive of each other. That's the retreats I was talking to you about. We get together, and everyone is invested in each other's success. I've had, since 2012, 185% increase in revenue. Now, that may sound small, but my profit has increased by 412%. So I scaled back in order to increase my profit. I've also had some major life stressors that I've gone through in the last few years, so I chose not to scale any bigger during the last few years. Now I'm back to working 25 hours a week, and I'm positioned my business where I'm able to scale more and serve more of my ideal clients and customers. And I'll tell you, it is a joy to go to work every day when you're working with your favorite clients and customers. Whole different experience in your business. So this is what we're going to cover. We're going to be talking about the 3 critical elements that, when aligned in your business, will create a clear and simple path to a fulfilling, sustainable business. We're going to be talking about how you can use the sweet spot concept to attract loyal, well-paying customers without having to compete on price. Small business owners have a unique opportunity to differentiate themselves from bigger chains, and a lot of times you're not capitalizing on that enough, and the sweet spot really helps capitalize on that. We'll also be talking about how you can scale and grow your business while making it actually less dependent on you personally, and how to flourish without having to take on complaining, life-sucking, high-maintenance customers or clients. So we have to start off by talking about pumpkins. Gary and I started talking about my dead pumpkins in my garden this morning. Pumpkins have a lot to do with the sweet spot. If you've ever been with your children to a pumpkin patch, you've probably had the experience where you get out of your car and you walk into this field, and it looks very much like that. There's pumpkins everywhere. It's a sea of pumpkins. And every one of those pumpkins looks pretty much alike. There's not much difference between them. But our kids, they have to go and they have to look at every one and turn it over and make sure that the bad spots are not in the bad places. And my heart starts to sweat just thinking about that experience coming up in a couple of months. I was like, oh, I don't want to go there. So there's not much differentiation. Ordinary pumpkin farmers who are going to grow these fields of jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, they go out into the field, they scatter their seed out, they come in and they water that field, and they're not doing any selection of their pumpkins. Farmers who grow the giant pumpkins do just a tiny few things different than these ordinary pumpkin farmers who grow these mediocre pumpkins. That applies to small business, okay? So to grow a giant pumpkin, you start with seed selection. You have to select the right seeds. You cannot grow a giant pumpkin with jack-o'-lantern seeds. You need Atlantic giant seeds, okay? And these are not the Atlantic giant seeds that you buy down at Walmart. Pumpkin farmers who grow those big giant pumpkins pay thousands of dollars for a few seeds. Those are very coveted seeds. And they plant just a few of those. They nurture those few pumpkin vines. When blossoms come on, usually when you grow pumpkins, you'll have multiple blossoms on the vine. They look very carefully at those blossoms, and they pick the best ones, and they trim the rest off. When weeds come up, they pull the weeds very quickly. They keep their patch clean. When there's any diseased pumpkins on the vine, they do not let them hang out. They cut them. They water very carefully. There's specific ways that you water these Atlantic giant pumpkins. In our businesses, we have a lot of diseased pumpkins on our vines. They pull our energy, they pull away resources from taking care of our top clients and customers. So a giant pumpkin farmer, if they leave those diseased pumpkins on the vine, what's going to happen? Sucks their resources. They will not win a prize for their giant pumpkin that year. It will not be an impressive giant pumpkin. They'll be much more likely to grow a mediocre pumpkin. So in small business, a lot of us do what the ordinary pumpkin farmers do. We scatter a whole heck of a lot of seeds out there, and we try to get this big field going of mediocre pumpkins that no one can tell the difference. How is any one pumpkin different from the other? We need to be different. We need to be able to differentiate ourselves. We need to be focusing, instead of growing a mediocre patch of pumpkins, we need to be focusing on growing our giant pumpkin, okay? Which comes from the sweet spot. The sweet spot in your business is your seed selection. Zeroing in on the sweet spot of your business is the equivalent of going and buying those very expensive, highly coveted giant pumpkin seeds. Because then you will have the right seeds that you need to grow and flourish. So this is the sweet spot diagram. And by the way, if you want to get your own copy of the sweet spot diagram, if you have your phones with you, you can text the word sweet spot to 44222. And watch out for autocorrect, because it'll try to turn sweet spot into 2 words, and that won't work. It needs to be 1 word that you text to 44222, and then respond and send your email address, and then you'll have the sweet spot diagram in your email. You'll also get some other educational materials that I'll send you over the next few days around the sweet spot. So let me talk to you about the sweet spot. Your business sweet spot is the intersection of 3 critical elements in your business. The first element is your top clients and customers. You need to know their industries that they're in, their demographics, and their psychographics. Who in here knows what psychographics are? That's kind of a fuzzy concept out there in the marketing world. You hear it thrown out, but a lot of us don't really know what that means. Psychographics get at what your best customers are thinking and feeling. It gets at their language, how they talk about the problem that you're helping them with, that you're providing a solution for, and the specific phrasing that they use. Psychographics also gets into where they hang out, where your top clients tend to congregate. And the reason you want to know that is because if you know where they tend to congregate, like attracts like. So the ideal in your business is to clone your best customers and clients and have more and more of them coming into your business. You can do that when you really understand their psychographics, because then you can speak their language. Like we were talking about with Popeyes, when you go into someone who's an owner of a Popeyes franchise and you can talk specifically in Popeyes language, they connect with you because you're connecting with their psychographic profile. You're speaking their language. The other element, the second element of the sweet spot, is your unique offering. And we'll go into detail about this in a minute, but briefly, it's comprised of your biggest strength. Typically, small businesses reflect the owners. So we start with understanding you as the owner of the business and what your biggest strengths are. And then we spread from that. If you have employees, we look at what you all as a team have the potential to be the absolute best in the world at, using your strengths. Another part of your unique offering is your immutable laws, your core values, the things that you absolutely stand for in this world and the things that you don't stand for in the world. You will attract the right customers and clients when you know what your immutable laws are. You'll attract people who have very similar immutable laws. And so I'll be talking to some of my best clients just on a coaching call, and they'll mention something. I had one client who just out of the blue mentioned that he used to work at 3M in Austin. And I said, really? I lived in Austin a number of years when I was in graduate school, and we got to talking, and he was like, yeah, he's in Minnesota now. And he was in Austin around the same time I was. And so when we talked about the different places that we hung out in Austin, Austin is a huge city. We went to similar restaurants. We had similar favorite things that we did there. And I was like, isn't that bizarre? It really comes down to immutable laws. We attract people who are a good fit with our immutable laws. The other part of innovation, or unique offering, is your area of innovation. And I'll dig into that with you in a few minutes, but there's 3 areas that small business owners can innovate in. You have to pick one of the 3. It's a forced choice. You cannot get away with innovating in 3 areas or 2 areas. You got to pick one and be really good at it. The final element of the sweet spot is systematization. Big word. How can you position your business so that it can run without your presence? That's one question for I'm just going to call it systemization because I cannot say systematization. And then the other question is, how can your company's sales grow without your presence? When you've accomplished those 2 things in your business, that's where your time freedom comes in. You don't have to be there. When a business does not have a clear sweet spot, it's very hard to get systems in place. A lot of times I'll go into businesses and the owners will tell me, I know we should be systemizing, but who has time for that? And they'll tell me about efforts that they've made to systematize, and what they've done is because they don't have a clear sweet spot, they've tried to systematize things to serve their worst customers, which that's what I was doing in my business when I told you the story of what was going on. I was systematizing for my least profitable customers and clients. That was not effective use of my time. It was draining resources. You need to be systematizing around your sweet spot, and you'd be amazed when you have a real clear sweet spot how quickly those systems can come together. So I had a belief, and maybe you all in this room might have this running through your head right now. I believed what I did was so unique for my top clients when I was helping them with their employee challenges. We're dancing in the moment. Every employee challenge is different. I thought, there's no way that can be systematized. I thought, no way. And then when I went to that retreat with Mike Michalowicz and I had that oh shh moment, it was right around the time we were talking about Peter Lely, a famous artist. Peter Lely was a 16th century artist, and he was one of the most prolific and most profitable artists of that time. Can you imagine artists making a huge profit? Peter Lely was, and it's because he found a way to systematize his paintings. So he was a court painter, and what he was famous for was painting women of the court in these provocative but flattering poses. And what he realized is that there was just a handful of these provocative, flattering poses that these women who were coming to him for portraits wanted. So he developed kind of a paint by numbers system, and he had apprentices paint the outlines of the provocative, flattering poses, and then the women could pick the color of their gown that they were going to be painted in. And all that Peter Lely did was come in at the very end and paint their faces, their facial features. That was his genius work that he did. That's how he was so prolific and so profitable. So if Peter Lely, an artist in the 16th century, can figure out a way to systematize his unique thing that he does, we can too. Having your business sweet spot, once you have this in place, and it does not take long to zero in on your business sweet spot. I get clients through it in about 20 to 60 days, very quick. Once you have this figured out in your business, it simplifies your decision making for years to come. Every decision that I make in my business now comes down to 3 questions, because I know what my sweet spot in my business is. Those 3 questions are, is this new training, so let's say that I'm considering if I'm going to do a new training to improve my skills, is this new training going to help me serve my top clients and customers better? If that's a yes, then I go on to the second question. Does this new training improve my area of innovation? If that's a yes, then I go on to the third question. Will this new training increase my profitability? If it's a yes, and the money's there, that's the other thing, the money has to be there. If the money's there, then I do it. 3 questions. We all are bombarded all the time with opportunities in our businesses, things that we think we should be doing, marketing, social media, all this stuff coming at us all the time. I was feeling decision fatigue before I had a sweet spot in my business. I no longer feel decision fatigue. I do as a parent. Oh my gosh, there's lots of decisions there. I wish somebody would help me with the sweet spot in my parenting. But as far as my business goes, decisions are very easy. Okay? You can use, when you have this sweet spot and you have employees and they come to you and they have a new exciting thing. So we want our employees in our business to give us feedback and bring ideas to us. But employees get frustrated when they do that and then they don't see us act on these ideas. Well, if you train your employees in your sweet spot, and then you say, okay, now we have 3 questions that we use to make decisions. And then you teach them what the 3 questions are. They will understand why an idea might be really good, but you're going to put it in the parking lot for a little while because it's a yes on all 3 questions, but the money's not there to do it. So it's going to go in the parking lot and we'll come back to it. So that helps with that as well. So that's one benefit of knowing your sweet spot. The other benefit is that it explodes your profitability in your business because it suddenly becomes very clear which expenses can go, which ones you can cut. I thought, when I was experiencing that oh shh moment, I thought, I don't think I spend that much money on this marketing mastery program. And then I went back in my businesses and I dug through my expenses and I looked at, oh my goodness, there's a lot of money going out the door towards this program. So I cut those expenses. not to mention all my energy that was going out the door. So that's how it becomes much easier. And I want to talk to you, have you all heard about the profit alligator? Okay. This is an image. When you think of Sabrina, you're going to think about the profit alligator, okay? When you are serving your top clients and customers, one of the strategies that we use when we're zeroing in on your sweet spot is the 80-20 principle. Is anybody familiar with that? Can you fill us in? Tell what you know of it.
Your revenue comes from 20% of your top line.
Yes. Okay, a lot of us get that. Like 80% of our revenue is driven by the top 20% of our clients, for the most part. But very few of us actually apply that systematically throughout our business. So once you understand your top clients and customers, and you understand their psychographics, and you're able to attract more and more of them, you are able to attract higher paying customers who appreciate what you're doing. They're loyal, they stick around. So revenue will go up. And because you're able to trim your vine and cut away diseased pumpkins and parts of your business that are not as profitable, your expenses go down. So that's how you get this profit alligator going on. Because what's left in the middle? Money, profit. You as the business owner get to benefit from that. So that's how zeroing in on your business sweet spot will explode your profitability. The other thing that it does is it dramatically increases your enjoyment in your business again. Because honestly, which one of us would not want to go to work every day and serve our best clients and customers? I mean, that is a joy to me, to get to do that every single day that I go to work. And if you systematize, once you get those first two elements in place and then you start systematizing around it, you get to choose whether or not you go into work every day. And I have some clients who are in that place where they're choosing.